In this video, I'm taking you to the coast. Well, kind of. I'll be in the studio painting 4 gouache scenes, inspired by our recent trip to the coast. Along the way, I'll chat about some stuff, and then of course we'll top it off with a gloriously satisfying tape peel. So first of all, hello again, everyone. It feels so good to be painting again. As some of you know, or if you've watched my recent studio vlogs, you've seen that I've been struggling pretty much since November, December last year. I had creative burnout, or burnout in general, and a lot of that was due to overworking myself and kind of just the lack of sunshine and being able to go outside for various reasons. And as I draw most of my inspiration from nature, that was hugely challenging for me. Being stuck inside so often leaves me a little bit empty. But here in the northeast of the Scottish Highlands, we've had about 10 days of sunshine, warm sunshine. So I've been outside so much. And as you saw at the beginning of this video, we recently took a little trip to the coast, which was so fabulous. So even though it's only been a little while since my last vlog where I shared how much I'm struggling to paint, it's been an amazing few weeks and I finally feel like myself again. I've actually been waking up excited to paint and going to bed thinking about the next painting. That feels really good after having some time where I really wondered if I would ever enjoy painting again. So before I go any further, I just want to let you know that today I'm painting in my Stillman and Byrne Nova series sketchbook with toned paper, obviously, and I'm using gouache. Mainly the Shinhan and Schminke brand gouache that I shared a while back. And I will be sharing a studio vlog sort of soon to catch you up on all that has changed in the last few weeks. And I'm really excited to show you some of the bigger paintings I've been working on. Because of the beautiful weather, I've been setting up all of my paint gear in the courtyard and finally getting back to the bigger pieces. So let's just consider this video an appetizer to the upcoming vlog, which will contain tons of painting. So today I honestly just want to chat, and I may go off on really random tangents. That's just the way my mind works, but I'm going to embrace the creative ramble, if that's okay with you. Feel free to mute me if you just want to watch the video, but otherwise, let's hang out. I personally have been watching more studio vlogs lately. I find that when I'm painting or working on studies or updating my website or whatever, having some company in the background is really nice. And it's like I've never met these people personally, but I've watched so many of their vlogs that I feel like I know them really well, which is kind of weird. And I guess that's just how it goes on the internet. But it's very comforting and it feels like I have a friend there. And a lot of the artists I watch do stuff that is totally different to me. Like maybe they're purely digital painters, or they work on totally different things than I do, like they paint portraits or something. So it doesn't matter if they do what I do. I find it really interesting to hear artistic thoughts and watch the process. And in addition, of course, it's really nice to have a very relaxing aesthetic vlog happening in the background. It's like I feel productive when I watch other people being productive, or I feel like I can easily get lost in production mode when that's happening on the screen nearby. I don't know if that makes sense. So even though we've recently had an amazing stretch of sunlight, of daylight, of warm weather, I also implemented a few changes in my life that I think really helped me pull myself out of the depression and just feeling dead inside, which includes getting a daylight lamp. So there's like these very specific types of lamps you can buy. They almost look like big flat panels of LED light, and you can change the temperature and the brightness and all of that. Mine also has a timer on it, and putting that next to me while I'm sketching in the morning has been a really helpful way to, I don't know, I guess adjust my light intake, and which also leads to better circadian rhythm. Like it's all science, you could go read about it, but it has definitely helped. Even on days when it's actually nice out, I don't always get to go outside all the time because, I'm working, I'm doing stuff on the computer and admin. So even just like 15 minutes with the lamp in the morning makes a big difference in my mood throughout the day. And I feel like I sleep better. Like I don't know what it does. Like I haven't read all the science about it, but it definitely contributes to better sleep at night. I've also been exercising more, so I have like this permanent area in the living room set up with my yoga mat and weights, and I've been actually watching videos about calisthenics, like using your own body weight to exercise, and lots of really amazing stretches. And I get like really bored with yoga, and I know it's so good for you. And I do it once in a while, but I get really bored with yoga or watching the same types of exercise videos over and over again. Like in the past, I used Chloe Ting videos. Her videos are really awesome and actually do help a lot, but I got sick of the same thing all the time. And if I get bored of something, I'm just going to stop doing it. It's hard enough to make myself work out, and if I'm bored, oh man, just forget about it. So doing these calisthenic types exercises is very new, and it's exciting in a way, like trying something new. I'm always curious about that, how it's going to affect me. And as I get better at the moves, it's even better. It's more of a workout. So I definitely recommend checking it out if you aren't really sure how to get back into exercising, because you don't need any equipment. If you have equipment, that's like a bonus, but you just need your own body weight. And there's plenty of videos out there. Strength Side is one that I watch a lot. They have awesome tutorials and really good ideas for different exercises, different moves, and different stretches that really help. I've been also doing little things that make me happy, like walking to the ice cream shop in town and getting ice cream, even on days where it's kind of chilly. There's just something about rewarding yourself or looking forward to a very special treat, even if it's something super cheap, super little, maybe not that exciting to anyone else. Like the act of going into town to get ice cream, to me, is exciting at this point in my life. That's where I'm at. So, well, to be fair, it is an award-winning ice cream shop. They make the most incredibly creative flavors. Last time I went, I got sticky toffee pudding and Belgian chocolate. Well, I always get the Belgian chocolate no matter what, because it's my favorite flavor of ice cream, and it's so they make it so delicious. It's like the richest, most chocolatey thing. I'm like drooling thinking about it right now. Anyway, they also had like iron brew as a flavor, which is a very Scottish thing. Well, so is sticky toffee pudding, actually. If you don't know what these things are, it's okay. If you come to Scotland, just make sure you try sticky toffee pudding and iron brew and a macaroni pie. Those are like my three favorite foods. Actually, iron brew is a drink, and I don't drink it all the time. But going to the ice cream shop, getting a chocolate dipped cone with 2 scoops, 2 flavors, is like the biggest treat ever. And I don't do it every day. I maybe do it like a couple times a month, but it's always something so fun and nice to look forward to. Other little treats that I do for myself are to make my first cup of coffee and go outside and sit in the sun, if it's sunny, obviously. My kitties come out and they kind of walk around and play, and I just enjoy watching them, and being outside obviously helps my mood. When we had this big stretch of sun recently, it was so warm a few days that I was just wearing a t-shirt, no shoes or socks, just bare feet. It was so amazing, mood lifting, and it's also a really great way to ground yourself, like physically ground yourself, to go outside bare feet, walk on the earth, or as close as you can get to it. I know some people don't live near a place that has earth, or I guess we're all on the earth, but what I mean is, like, if you live in the middle of a city, it's sometimes hard to find some areas that aren't paved. But if you can, it's incredible. And I know it probably sounds weird to some people, but there's also interesting science behind the idea of grounding yourself. So look it up if you're curious about that. But for me, all it takes is just a few minutes walking around in the grass with my coffee and seeing my kitties play nearby. And honestly, it's like some of the happiest moments of my life. I guess I just love my cats like they're my children. They are actually my fur babies. So it's actually been funny because Vader is the older cat. He is maybe 3 years-ish, and Floki is just over 1 year old. And Floki has developed into this very independent, rambunctious, like, teenage boy. And Vader is the more logical, practical, considerate older brother. And Floki definitely instigates, like, wrestling way more often than Vader does, although Vader does do it. Their favorite game is to chase each other around and jump scare each other. So they'll just be kind of walking around outside. One of them will lie down with their back facing the other one, and that's the moment the other one strikes. So it's just like a constant back and forth between the two of them. And so Floki is definitely kind of the wild child. But when they're inside at night and it's time to sleep and relax and cuddle, Floki will walk up to Vader and he'll, like, cuddle into his chest, and Vader will start bathing him. And it's like the sweetest moments ever between the two of them. So, you know, it could 5 minutes ago they could be fighting to the death, and then all of a sudden they're just so sweet and cuddly to each other. It just started snowing out after all this beautiful weather, and the trees, the bushes, everything has been blooming, beautiful spring blossoms everywhere. And overnight it hailed and snowed quite a lot, and throughout the day today it's been off and on snowing. So I'm not sure if the plants are going to bounce back from that. I sure hope so, because I already started planting seeds. Although I did bring them in this morning, I didn't expect it to snow. I thought it would happen later this week, so that caught me by surprise. And I really hope that my seeds survive, but if not, I'll just redo it. But gardening is another thing that just is so relaxing to me. And I honestly wish we owned our own place for many reasons, but especially so that I could go all out with gardening. At the moment, I restrict myself to container gardening, which is still very fun and rewarding. But, you know, I just wish I could fully design and let my creativity go with gardening. And someday I will. Someday I will own my own little bit of land somewhere in the world, and my garden will be, like, bigger and more glorious than the house itself. Do you guys ever think about what your dream house would be? Like, When I was in my 20s, I owned a house with my ex, and I did spend a ton of time upgrading. We both did. We spent like so much time upgrading and customizing the house interior as well as our whole garden, our whole yard. And it was so much fun to be creative with that and know that everything you put in, all the sweat and money, will come back as a return on your investment. And that's a really cool feeling, in addition to being able to do whatever you want to it without permission. Well, obviously not like stuff that would require a permit. But one thing I love daydreaming about is my someday home here in Scotland, probably. I mean, I'm assuming we're going to live here for a really, really long time. And I imagine 3 things. We want to live near a mountain, near a river, and right in or next to a forest. And that might sound really specific and maybe hard to find, and it is. And honestly, there's very few places that check all the boxes, but it's still fun to dream. And even if we don't get all of those things, we especially want to be in a forest and away from other people. We just want to be somewhere quiet and immersed in nature as much as we can, because that's like our sense of peace. It would feel like we're always on vacation if we had that, and we're totally fine with the idea of like driving into town, even if it's like a half an hour. Like, who cares? If we live in our own version of paradise, that wouldn't matter. So Wolfie, my partner, really wants a log cabin, like a traditional, well, he says the Canadian log cabin, which I think would be really cool, but we also would need to have some of the interior walls finished with drywall, or at least a system that allows me to hang a lot of artwork, because not only would I hang some of my paintings while they're drying maybe, but also I have a ton of art made by other artists that I've never been able to hang up because I just don't have room. And I would love to have my like gallery. Maybe it would be like spread throughout the house, or it could just be one room. I don't know. And I do love log cabins because they feel so cozy. You're like surrounded by natural wood. That feels so much better than like a concrete wall or stuff that's overly perfected. Like drywall that's painted is okay, but it doesn't feel as warm and comforting. But of course, a huge part of the dream is having a detached studio. So its own little building. I don't know what it would be made out of, but I've made all sorts of fantasies about this in my mind. But it would just have a lot of natural light, a view of the woods, and a ton of space to spread out. That's something I've never had. Especially now where we live in a tiny, it's like 500 square feet. It's so small. And even though I do have a big courtyard and I spread out my painting stuff out there, which is glorious, it means I can't do it when it's raining or snowing or whatever. So having a big open space, I don't want it to be divided by a bunch of walls. I just want like a massive space and like a lot of tables. And then I can spread out all of my supplies, have a ton of different easels with different pieces going at once, because I often work on many pieces at once. And again, like natural light coming in, maybe a little fireplace in the corner for some natural wood fires. And letting the cats come and go as they please just sounds so amazing. And of course, if we decide to move somewhere closer to the West Coast, which is kind of our dream, the one thing that would cause us to struggle would be the midges. Midges are teeny tiny biting insects, kind of like mosquitoes, but they're so small you can almost not see them, but they are attracted to blood and they want to like devour you. So if you are caught in a swarm of midges, it is torturous. So if we have a place, I won't be able to open the windows probably. I'd have to like get screens maybe, which by the way, that's a really strange thing I find in Scotland. And I don't know if it's like the whole of the UK, but they don't have screens on the windows in most places. like houses. Where I grew up in upstate New York and then in Colorado, screens on the windows was a necessity because we had all sorts of insects like flying around, like horse flies and mosquitoes and sand flies and all sorts of stuff. They would just get in the house constantly. And so if you didn't have a screen, or hornets, that was another bad one. And here there's nothing. It's just you open the window and it's access to the air outside. And I always found that really interesting because when I leave the window open, little insects do get in. Like, not a ton, but maybe if you were on the West Coast and you had midges, oh, like that would be awful. So if I had all these huge windows for natural light and I wanted to open them to let the breeze in, I would need to either like custom make my own screens or find a supplier, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. That's just like a really random thing. I've always wondered why they don't have screens here. The song that's playing right now is called Doors Wide Open, which would be another thing that I would want in my fantasy studio. Have a huge set of sliding doors or barn doors or something like that. Just complete access to the outside, which again may not work on the West Coast because, yeah, I wouldn't want to get eaten alive while I'm painting. But how cool would that be? If it's breezy outside, you don't really have to worry about the midges or any kind of like colder temperatures. But otherwise, you definitely need protection. And yeah, I don't know. I just really enjoy thinking about this stuff. A lot of times when I'm doing studies or painting, my mind completely wanders into this fantasy world where I have finally paid down my student debt and we've saved enough for a deposit to finally buy a place. And even if I thought it might never happen, I still find comfort in imagining it and thinking about it in like extreme detail too. Like even down to what trim I would use on the interior thresholds. Or like how would I hang the utensils in my kitchen? Because I always envision like a lot of magnets. I don't really like magnets. Like in a kitchen, I find it annoying that everything is behind closed doors or in a drawer. And I personally don't mind things being out on the counter or like showing. What I mean is, what if I had a wall of tiles and they were actually magnetic? So I could just stick my pots and pans, after they're clean, of course, on the magnets, and the spatulas and the spoons and everything. It's just like a wall of kitchen utensils. Is that weird? You could even go as far as to say magnetic cups and plates. Like you wouldn't even need cabinets. You would just go to the wall of stuff and you would like pick out your mug or your dinner spoon or something. Wait, dinner spoon? Soup spoon. And dinner fork. I don't know. Okay, I'm getting like really off on a tangent here. But yeah, I just felt like painting and sharing some thoughts. I didn't even want it to be like meaningful and have like a lesson involved. It's just purely for company and to relax. And I hope you enjoyed it. So if you are interested in these paint and chat sessions, I do have a few others. I will post a playlist at the end of this video or in the description. If this is like your jam, then I guess you'll enjoy those. But otherwise, I will be back again soon with a spring vlog, sharing lots of painting and things that have been happening recently. And yeah, anyways, take care everyone, and I'll see you all soon. All right, bye.